So at this point, we have just talked about HTML. And as you can see, HTML is just the backbone for your websites. Has all the pieces that you need for that. But as you can see, our Hello World or my first website um, file is kind of boring, and maybe if we start putting some color and some formatting will look a little bit better. And this is where CSS comes in. Again, HTML is just the backbone. It's like the bones are your body. But now CSS, we see it as the clothes that you wear every day. So it provides a style for our document. So I'm going to start here and show you real quick how CSS actually is used and how CSS also affects the HTML document. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to create a new line on the head element, and I'm going to type style. So this element style can hold some CSS within the HTML document. Again, just for clarification, this is not a standard anymore. We prefer to have the CSS in a separate file, but just for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna keep it within the HTML document. So I'm gonna create some space here. Sorry about that. So CSS has rules, okay? So basically, it's a rule set, and a rule set has many parts. Basically, has three parts. It has a selector, has a property that we're gonna change, and it has a value that we're gonna provide to that particular property. Now, what is a selector? We use as baseline, we use the elements as our selectors. Meaning, for example, let's say I want to change my Hello World H1 tag or element from black to blue. So in a CSS rule, my selector is going to be H1. That's the one that I want to target. So again, my selector is H1. Then I'm going to use these curly brackets, and I'm going to create my rule within those brackets. So I'm just going to create a space here. And now I need to change a property to change it from black to red. In this case, the property that I'm changing is color. And the color, meaning the value that I want to provide, is blue. If you notice, these already change in the left side in the browser. Now, again, I'm gonna go over these rules again. We have our selector, which is H1. We have these curly brackets that basically tells the CSS whatever rules we're gonna write here are gonna affect this particular selector, in this case our H1. And here's the property, which is basically the color. We are changing the color, and then we provide a value. In this case, the value is blue. Sounds good? Perfect. So remember, in the previous video, I was talking about how we use IDs and we use classes. We can, with CSS, we can target those particular attributes, and we can use them to change things in our HTML. So let's say I want these two paragraphs, or the first two paragraphs, be green, and the third paragraph I want to keep it black. That's where we're going to use our class attribute, in our value paragraph to do that. So when we use classes to target or to change properties, we have to start with a dot. That tells the CSS, hey, I'm gonna use a class value to change the property. In this case, is paragraph. And we do the same thing. We have these open and closing brackets. We create a space, and then we just change the property. In this case, color, and I'm gonna do green. Sorry, do that, green, save, and as you can see, the color of the first two paragraphs have changed from from black to green. Also, we can use comments in our CSS so we know, so we can basically track our progress. So for example, I can make a comment here and say,